"How come you're not in Ravenclaw?" he demanded, staring at Hermione with something close to wonder. "With brains like yours." Ravenclaw student Terry Boot asks Hermione this directly in Order of the Phoenix, during the DA's first meeting in the Hogshead Inn. And, unsurprisingly, Terry Boot is not the only person to have ever thought about this. In fact, since the Harry Potter books first came out, one of the most pervasive questions surrounding the series is why Hermione Granger, one of Hogwarts' smartest students, wasn't sorted into its most studious house. Today we're going to be tackling a question that has long divided fans. Was Hermione Granger truly a Gryffindor, or was she actually meant for Ravenclaw? Let's dive into it. Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Before we dive into the question, a brief summary of the Hogwarts house system. As we know, there are 4 Hogwarts houses: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. Each house has defining characteristics, and at the beginning of a student's journey at Hogwarts, they're assigned to one of these 4 houses based on how well their own traits mesh with the principles of that house. The assignee of the Hogwarts houses is, of course, the Sorting Hat, a filthy, old, frayed, dirty hat that once belonged to Godric Gryffindor. Known for being extremely outspoken, the hat is praised by professors and students alike for its uncanny ability to assign houses to Hogwarts students, hence why it's still used today. The hat is a sentient object that originally belonged to Godric Gryffindor, and was bewitched by all 4 founders: Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin, when they realized that they would need to continue to sort students long after they had passed. Since then, the hat has continued the tradition of sorting. And honestly, this is a pretty big job. Sorting students is no easy feat. The hat has to magically navigate the student's mind using legilimency and analyze not just the traits that they currently exhibit, but also the latent potential that is unrealized. And, as we see in the series, no house is particularly similar, which of course means that there's a vast number of traits to analyze. Essentially, once the hat is placed on your head, it will place you in a house based on how closely you resemble one of the 4 founders. It's not totally black and white, but basically it works like this. If the hat senses great bravery, Gryffindor is the likely choice. If the hat senses great intelligence, Ravenclaw is the likely choice. If the hat senses that someone is a hard worker, Hufflepuff is the likely choice. And finally, if the hat senses that someone is hungry for power, then Slytherin is the likely choice. First, let's take a look at the case for Ravenclaw. While the hat's song gives us a vague impression of what being a Ravenclaw encapsulates, the truth is that it's far more nuanced than that. Ravenclaw is the house for those who prize intelligence above all else. Students with sharp minds, quick wit, a love of learning, and a natural curiosity about the world. They think independently, value creative problem solving, and pursue knowledge for its own sake. In short, it's the house of those who stand out not for their bravery or ambition, but for the brilliance of their minds. And at first glance, Hermione seems like the perfect Ravenclaw candidate. During her years at Hogwarts, she was widely considered to be the brightest witch of her age. Time and time again, she displayed lateral thinking, quickly adjusting to her circumstance or environment, and overcoming all sorts of obstacles. Not only that, but she has an inquisitive and practical mind which allows her to constantly challenge the status quo, frequently introducing new approaches to conventional methods of spell conjuring or potion making. With all of these traits considered, and intelligence being the hallmark of Ravenclaw, the obvious question that arises is, why wasn't Hermione Granger placed there? To begin to answer this question, next we need to take a look at the case for Gryffindor. While the Sorting Hat song gives us a broad idea of what Gryffindor represents, the truth is that this house is equally nuanced. Gryffindor is traditionally seen as the home of the brave, but bravery in the Hogwarts sense goes far beyond simply rushing into danger. Gryffindors value courage, nerve, and the willingness to do what's right even when it's dangerous, unpopular, or personally costly. They are defined by moral conviction, loyalty, and a kind of boldness that pushes them to act when others might hesitate. In short, it's the house not of the cleverest or of the most ambitious, but of those who lead with their heart, and who consistently choose courage over comfort. And to be fair, Hermione has more than a few moments that demonstrate exactly these traits. She throws herself into danger to save Ron from Devil's Snare. She stands protectively in front of Harry in the Shrieking Shack, believing she's confronting a murderer. She enters the Department of Mysteries knowing full well how reckless it is. She stays with Harry even as the trio fractures in the Deathly Hallows. And perhaps most courageously of all, she erases herself from her parents' memories in order to protect them from Voldemort and the Death Eaters. These examples prove that Hermione isn't just defined by her intellect. She also displays courage, loyalty, and moral conviction, traits that align closely with Gryffindor. And yet, her towering intelligence, her insatiable curiosity, her academic drive, all of these still make her seem like a perfect fit for Ravenclaw. So at this point, the question remains fully open. Based on the traits alone, does Hermione truly belong in Ravenclaw or Gryffindor? The Sorting Hat itself confirms just how difficult this decision was. When Hermione sat under the hat in Philosopher's Stone, it took several minutes to make up its mind, longer than almost any other student that year. It wasn't a true hat stall, which officially occurs at the 5-minute mark, but at around 4 minutes, she came very close. And this reaffirms that Hermione genuinely embodied the core traits of both Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. And in the Order of the Phoenix, it's revealed that the hat did give serious thought to placing her in Ravenclaw. When Terry Boot asks Hermione why she isn't in his house, she explains that, "The Sorting Hat did seriously consider putting me in Ravenclaw, but it decided on Gryffindor in the end." And usually when the hat struggles, another factor comes into play, the student's personal preference. On the Hogwarts Express, before she ever reached the sorting ceremony, Hermione openly admits, "I hope I'm in Gryffindor. It sounds by far the best, but I suppose Ravenclaw wouldn't be too bad." And this kind of preference matters more than many fans realize. The Sorting Hat has a long history of considering a student's wishes, most notably with Harry, who explicitly asked not to be placed in Slytherin. And when the hat is torn between two viable matches, that preference can be enough to tip the scales. For Hermione, whose traits made her almost perfectly divisible between bravery and intellect, her leaning toward Gryffindor may have played a meaningful role in the final decision. But even still, bearing all of this in mind, the deeper question still remains. Which house did she truly belong in? Because if it was purely her preference that tipped the scales, then it's still not entirely clear which house she may embody more closely. Fortunately, there's one last bit of criteria that we can analyze: values. While the Sorting Hat may weigh traits and preferences, Hermione's true alignment isn't determined by what she is at age 11, but by what she ultimately values most. At first glance, it would be easy to assume that Hermione values intelligence above everything else. After all, she studies obsessively, memorizes entire textbooks, corrects professors, and approaches the world with the mindset of someone who genuinely loves learning. Everything about her early behavior screams Ravenclaw. But when we look deeper, the series gives us a moment that completely reframes our understanding of Hermione's priorities. During the climax of Philosopher's Stone, Hermione delivers a line that is quietly one of the most revealing character moments in the entire series. When Harry tries to give her credit, she responds, "Books and cleverness, there are more important things, friendship and bravery." And this single quote tells us everything that we need to know. What Hermione holds closest to her heart isn't intellect or academic excellence, but courage, loyalty, and the willingness to stand by the people she cares about. And all of a sudden, just like that, the Sorting Hat's decision becomes much harder to dispute. Could you still make the argument that she's more of a Ravenclaw? Absolutely. But as far as I'm concerned, that one line from Hermione is enough to pull me in the direction of Gryffindor, because as incredibly smart as she may be, she's still braver than she is intelligent. What do you guys think? Was Gryffindor the rightful sorting for Hermione, or is there a part of you that thinks she would have been better suited to Ravenclaw? After all, being sorted into a different house would have led her down a very different path, and who's to say that she couldn't have realized another level of academic excellence had she been sorted into the Bronze and Blue house? Maybe Ravenclaw would have enabled her to realize a whole new level of potential. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and to forget to live.